You are listening to B.L. Norris's Mesh Face, Chapter 1, The Boy in the Road. It was midnight. The black sky rumbled high above. Lightning flashed in the distance, threatening, approaching. The road was dark, with occasional lampposts providing dim light. A lone car sped up the road, one headlight out. The working headlight spotlighted a boy walking in the middle of the road. The car swerved just in time to miss him. He couldn't have been more than 4 years old. His cherubic face was pale. His eyes were innocent to the danger he'd barely avoided. The car came to a screeching halt, burning rubber. Rap music blared from the open window. The driver, a skinny white kid with a heart tattoo on his cheek, stared in the rearview mirror through marijuana-hooded eyes at the little boy, who continued walking down the lone street. "Whoa, little dude," he giggled, taking a hit from the vape. "You'll be roadkill by morning." He thought about calling the police, but quickly remembered he had warrants. Besides, he had the munchies. He threw the car in drive and sped down the dark street. A man emerged from the tree line like an apparition. He'd quietly watched the entire scene. His eyes were intently fixed on the little boy. He went after him. He didn't chase him. He just followed closely behind until he caught up. He placed his hand on the boy's tiny shoulder to stop him. "Where are you going, buddy?" "I want my mommy," the boy said, tears pooling in his bright blue eyes. "Where's your mommy?" the slender young man asked tightly. There was an edge to his words that hadn't been there before. The boy shrugged. "I don't know," he said softly. A tear finally spilled down his chubby cheek. The man wiped it away tenderly. "Would you like me to take you home?" the man asked. The boy hesitated before finally nodding. The man picked him up into his arms. "Show me where you live." It was raining when they entered a nearby neighborhood. Cookie-cutter suburban homes. Cars hidden inside two-car garages. The American dream. Comfortability funded by stress and a pressure cooker existence. Motion lights flickered from house to house as they made their way to the boy's home. The man gently put the child down as they reached the porch and rang the doorbell. He rang it again and again. He heard footsteps trotting down the stairs, and finally the door opened. A beautiful woman no more than 25 stood at the partially open door. "Can I help you?" she asked, a hint of confusion in her eyes. The man noticed the small canister of pepper spray in her hand. He smiled warmly. He was dark-haired, with flint-gray eyes and a face too pretty to belong to a man. The woman relaxed. "I think he belongs to you," the man said, looking down at the little boy. The woman followed his eyes. "Freddie," she yelped, "what are you doing out there?" She grabbed the boy into her arms, and he instantly burst into tears. "I want my mommy," he wailed. The woman blushed as she rubbed the boy's back gently. "I'm so sorry. I don't know how he got out," she said. "I'd put him to bed and was in the restroom doing a makeup tutorial for my channel." The man smiled. "You're a content creator?" he asked. "Yeah," she said proudly. "Well, I'm sorry to have interrupted. I'm just glad I was able to return your son." She glanced at the boy, then shook her head frantically. No, he's not mine. I'm just babysitting. I don't have any kids." He laughed. "Oh, that's good to know. I'm Daniel, by the way." "Rachel," she said, "would you like to come in for a second? I can put him down and grab some beers." Daniel looked over his shoulder at the rain. It was coming down pretty hard now. "I really should be getting home. Perhaps some other time." "A rain check," Rachel joked. For a moment, the smile disappeared, and it changed the look of his entire face. Rachel involuntarily took a step back. The smile returned. "Ah, rain check," he laughed. "I get it. Sorry, it's been a long day. Well, I better get going. You have a nice night, Rachel Ware." "You too, Daniel," Rachel said, but he had already stepped off the porch. She watched until he disappeared into the darkness and rain. She changed Freddie out of his wet clothes and gave him some warm milk. He was fighting sleep when she finally tucked him into bed. "I want my mommy," he murmured, rubbing his eyes. "Oh, sweetie, your mom will be back from her business trip in the morning," Rachel said, running her hand gently over his hair. "Now promise me you won't get out of bed again." "I promise," he said softly. She kissed his forehead. "Your mom will be home when you wake up." Little Freddie nodded. Rachel stayed with him until sleep claimed him. Only then did she leave his room, softly closing the door behind her. She went downstairs to grab a beer, then raced back upstairs to the bathroom to continue her tutorial. As she adjusted her ring light, she couldn't get rid of a gnawing feeling, something instinctual bubbling just below the surface of her consciousness. The phone recorded silently as she gave detailed instructions on how to get the look she was creating. Her hand paused mid-stroke. Her face flushed. Her heart raced. Her mind suddenly delivered what her gut had been signaling. "You have a nice night, Rachel Ware." That's what the man had said. How did he know her name? Chills assailed her. The brush she was holding trembled in her fingers. Rachel jumped at the sound of breaking glass. "Damn it, Freddie, I told you to stay in bed," she muttered angrily. She put the makeup brush down and ran out of the bathroom to Freddie's room. She opened the door. The boy was in bed. He'd kicked the blanket off, exposing his Spider-Man pajamas. He was snoring softly. She scanned the room. Nothing was broken. There wasn't any glass. Her heart was actively trying to escape her chest at this point. She grabbed a miniature baseball bat from the closet and headed out into the hallway. She inched forward on her tiptoes, gripping the bat so tightly her fingers had turned white. She reached the staircase and stared at the door. The window next to it had been smashed. A brick lay on the floor, and the door was open, giving her a view of the streaking rain splattering the porch. The sight of wet footprints leading inside the house was enough to cause her to hyperventilate. "Hello?" she called out. "Who's down there?" No response other than the patter of the rain. The sound heightened her fear. It was like the soundtrack to incoming terror. "Hello?" she called again. "I'm going to call the police." The downstairs lights went off. Rachel screamed. It didn't feel real. She felt like she was outside of her body, watching herself play a scene in a movie. It wasn't until she saw him walk to the foot of the stairs that her survival instinct finally kicked in. She ran. She ran into Freddie's room and locked the door. "Oh my God, oh my God," her mind screamed internally. She could hear the footsteps thudding up the stairs. Coming. They were loud. He wanted her to hear. "Leave us alone," Rachel yelled, barring the door with her body. The footsteps reached the landing. "I'm calling the police." She reached in her pocket for her phone. It wasn't there. Of course it wasn't. Her phone was in the bathroom, centered around a palette of makeup and a fucking ring light. "Hi guys, welcome to another video where today I'm going to show you how to create the perfect cat eye." It was her voice, her video. "Please, just leave us alone," Rachel screamed. Her pleas were answered by pounding on the door that shook her. Wood flew as he kicked it again and again. Rachel pressed her body harder against the door as if it would make a difference. It didn't. One final kick smashed the door inward, sending her flying onto the floor. Head spinning, Rachel scrambled to her feet. She wanted to scream at the sight of what stood in the doorway, but her lungs wouldn't cooperate. No sound left her mouth. Fear had stolen her voice. Only the glow of the nightlight illuminated the horror of him. He stood there still, confident. A living nightmare. His face was covered by mesh material stretched tightly over it. It was stained with blood. The eye area was painted black, soulless. A black hood covered his head. Raindrops glistened and streamed down it. But it was the steady red light that captured Rachel's attention. He was recording. "No, no, please," she sputtered. It was the way his gloved hand reached around his back, and when he brought it forward again, it held a knife with a steel blade curved like a talon. It was a karambit. He waved it tauntingly in front of her. In one swift move, he advanced toward her, slashing the blade. Rachel held up her hands to protect herself, and the blade ripped open her palm and severed her pinky finger. She screamed, clutching her wounded hand. "No, please, please don't kill me. I don't want to die. I don't want to die," she begged. The karambit swished through the air, meeting flesh and bone. Blood splattered. Then the scream stopped. Rachel lay crumpled on the bloody carpet. The killer's chest heaved, not from effort, but from fury. He quickly regained his composure. He loosened his grip on the karambit and reholstered it behind his back. Back to reality, the killer could hear approaching sirens in the distance. He turned to leave, but stopped at the doorway. Little Freddie was awake and staring at him. His huge eyes were filled with fear. Are you the boogeyman?" he asked. The killer slowly nodded his head. The killer had narrowly escaped the scene before the police arrived. They found Rachel's body where it had fallen. Freddie was quickly taken from the house as the neighbors gathered, rubbernecking behind yellow police tape. The rain did nothing to dull their curiosity. Freddie was the only witness to the murder. He'd seen the killer. The police had nothing to go on but the image of what a 4-year-old boy called the boogeyman. The sketch artist carefully captured the image the boy described. The black hood, the black holes that were his eyes, the mesh mask, the camera around his neck. Once the image got out, the media coined the killer Mesh Face.